Hello, this is Pat Walker, Mission Winners, doing a video overview of the ETFs. We scan the ETFs because it gives us a good feel on the markets, where there's strength, areas to maybe look into deeper to buy the stock or the ETF, but also areas of weakness, areas to avoid. Opposite sides of the same coin, but both sides help us make money and save money. So let's go down and look at these. This is just sorted pretty much in an alphabetical manner. It's not sorted by relative strength or anything like that. And I will start here with the IBD 50. I like this. This is weekly on the left, as I stated, daily on the right. And you can see it's picking up some, okay? It's still off the highs, and there was some pretty hard selling here. We'd like to see some more power, but it is steadily improving. We'll just have to watch it and see what happens, okay? But there is some distribution in here too. So, and you noticed here too, it went up on less volume than it fell. So just things to be aware of. Not being bearish, just pointing out relevant data. Let's move on. Gold miners. By the way, you can always look at the name right up here. That's where it's at. Ticker symbol and name. Gold miners has rallied up steadily. It's nice to see. This was an ugly reversal bar here on the weekly. Here it is on the daily on volume. Rallied right back up to old highs and met with a little selling. Perhaps it'll, start to base here a little bit longer and then take off. Something to watch. GDX, gold miners. Continue onward. Gold lifting up a little bit also, just like the gold miners. Which is stronger? The gold miners are stronger than the gold stocks. There you go. That's just a little bit of analysis that can help us say, I think I'll focus more on the gold miners than the gold stocks. There we go. But this is starting to improve a little bit too. That's good to see. Some slight volume pickup too. Now, I'm not saying buy it here, but that's where it's at. Biotechnology is picking up a little bit, but it's well off the highs here. Maybe forming a low level cup with a handle, but look what it did. It rallies up and reverses down. A lot of overhead supply in here on the chart, right in here. That's selling, that could be potential selling pressure. So just things to be aware of, but biotech has improved a little bit too. All right, continue onwards. Oil and gas. I just showed you some ETFs that are starting to pick up a little bit. And here's one that, rallied up and fell again fairly hard. It did it on less volume. It's got support on the 50-day, but there's not a lot of power here on this chart. You can see on the weekly and on the daily. Just be careful. Note the heavy selling volume there on this bar, and then it rallies up on less volume. Not a lot of buying power. Things to be aware of. Says, maybe be a little cautious right now with it. There we go. Software technologies picked up some, tailed off pretty hard on Friday. It is improving a little bit, but it's still below the falling 50-day. Again, I've been doing this for a long time. I mean, decades. And I will tell you this, and managed a ton of money through years too, and lived off a bunch of it, okay, when I quit managing money, just living off investing profits. But right here, you can see it's still below the falling 50-day. Here's a great investing maxim for you. It sounds corny, but it's the truth. The air is better above the rising 50-day. Things are a little bit better above the rising 50-day. This is below the falling 50-day. So if you buy it, it just says, be cautious, lots of overhead supply. Continue onwards. Dow Jones Medicine is just basing here. It's below the falling 50-day. I'd like to see some more up power. You can see there's green bars here, but look at the magnitude of the green bars versus the red selling bars on the daily. Just not a lot of power there at this time. I'll say it again. You'll dramatically improve your investing results when you say, I'm going to focus on things within 20% of 52-week highs, and I'm going to focus on stocks, entities, ETFs that are above a rising 50-day. There you go. It just makes life easier. And this one is above the rising 50-day. Aerospace and defense, and it's been steadily grinding up. Note the grind up the ADMA. Isn't that nice to see? Right in here, started to pick up in volume. There's things to look for, folks. Here, I'll draw a line for you. I'm not saying buy it now, okay? That's not my point. I'm just trying to educate here. It is kind of going sideways here. Starts to pick up. A little bit of pickup in volume on this bar. A little bit of pickup in volume on this bar. A little pickup in volume on that bar. That's what you look for. Now, it's a little bit extended, so I wouldn't buy it now, but I'm just trying to train and coach things to look for in the charts to make better investing decisions. So then you can say, the next time you see something like this, you can say, hey, maybe that's worth buying some. Also, always control risk. This is for everybody. Never try to make a killing on any stock. Like, this is the one, this is the one. No, because that's how you get killed. Handle each stock on its own merits. That'll help you a lot. Keeps you in the game forever. Let's continue onwards. Never argue with price. Home construction built up a little bit. Here's another valuable lesson. Oh, it's a green bar, Pat, on good volume. Look at how it closed. It was met with selling pressure. Investing maxim. I'll say it again. Just because it's a green bar doesn't mean it's a good bar. Just because it's a red bar doesn't mean it's a bad bar. So just watch this here, okay? Started to pick up, but it needs to kind of build a base out here. There's really nothing to do with it at this point in time, okay? Continue onwards. S&P 500 growth's picking up a little bit, as you can see. Steadily picking up. It's above a rising 50-day. There's some tops across here, and I'll draw this for you to help you. There's some tops across there, but it is loose. I mean, it's whipping around here pretty much, folks. There's travel range in this, all right? If this could base for a little bit and then push through that tops, that would be good. Let's move on. Here we go. IWM Russell ran up and reversed down on Friday, but there's a decent base forming here. It's starting to improve. It's above the 50-day. That's nice to see. So just something to watch. Continue onwards. Transportation's lagging. Do a compare and contrast. Okay, hold on. IWM above the 50-day. I'm not saying buy it, but it's above the green line. It's above the 50-day. IYR, it just came up to the declining 50-day. There's no power there. What does that say? Be careful with real estate stocks. There you go. Needs to see some power through the 50-day. All right. Continue onwards. Transportation below the falling 50-day. Stay away from transportation stocks. That's it. You don't have to overthink it. But I will build a further case. It's rallying up on steadily decreasing volume, but it's below the falling 50-day, as I stated earlier. Just leave it alone. Let's just focus on power. Focus on stuff that's currently showing some strength. That will help you. Strength begets strength. Let's continue onwards. Airlines, a little bit of base right here. Some tail bars on this though, right here and here, met with selling. Needs to come across these tops with volume. That's what you need to see. Also note, it's loose. Oh, it runs up. Oh, they knock it back down. Falls, lifts up, falls. Oh, it runs back up. They drop it right back down. High investor emotions in there. Be careful with that. But it is basing here. And I'll just draw something to help you. There you go. What's it need to do? It needs to take out those tops, and it needs to do it on volume. Continue onwards. Mid-cap's picking up a little bit of choppiness here, but it has improved. That tells us the rally spread out a little bit. I like to see that. Oil services right here. Folks, it's below the falling 50-day. Falls below the 50-day on heavy volume. Rallies up on low volume. Pushes above the 50-day and reverses down again. Until this gets over the 50-day, stay away from this ETF. Stay away from oil service stocks. Done. Continue onwards. Pharmaceuticals is picking up a little bit, but notice when it's picking up, the volume's really dropped off. Perhaps it'll form a handle here. It has improved, but is there a clean entry at this point in time? No, but it does tell us pharmaceuticals have improved a little bit. We like that. QLD, NASDAQ 100's picked up a little bit, pushed back over the 50-day, gapped up here and reversed down, so we need to see it base here and start to lift up. But it does tell us technology, the NASDAQ 100's picking up. Same thing's true with QQQ, non-leveraged. I'll go back to that a minute. Hold on, I probably went too fast there. There you go, picking up a little bit. But notice this, gaps up and reverses and closes below it where it opens. And it does have some tail bars in here. Here, and here, and here, and here. It needs to base out here a little bit. My apologies, had a disruption over here, I had to handle. So here we go back. Looking at QQQ, rallying up here. This is daily on the right, weekly on the left. And it's picking up is some resistance overhead. And you can see the action has been back in here a little choppy. It is starting to improve, and that's good to see. Let's continue onwards. QLD, we did that one already. Here's retailing. Retailing's picking up, but you can see it's still lagging here. A lot of overhead supply in a lot of these issues, okay, in a lot of these sectors. So just something to be aware of. Also, charts have memory. Notice this, rallies up to the 50-day and stops there. Everybody knows about the 50-day, and they will use it to their benefit for making decisions as far as buying, selling, risk control. Right here, there's a pausing spot, okay? But what else does it tell us? There's not a lot of power in retail. Let's move on here. Silver's picking up a little bit. That's a little, do a compare and contrast. You say, oh, that's just up to the 50-day, the falling 50-day. Oh, look, this is above the rising 50-day, the green line. That's good to see. Slight volume pickup here, starting to improve a little bit. Is there a clean entry here? Not at this point in time, but it does tell us that silver's something to look into. There we go. Let's move on. Steel. Right here. Steel ran up, reversed down, okay? Not a lot of volume here. And you can see it's loose, it's choppy here, okay? It's not clean and simple trending material at this point in time. It is above the 50-day, so we'll have to watch it and see what happens. Continue onward. SMH, semiconductors, gapped up a little bit here, closed in the bottom half of its range. There's some overhead supply over here, all right? And there's some real overhead supply on the weekly. Look at that. So, but it is improving a little bit. That's good to see. Not a clean entry here, but it does tell us that the semis are improving. Continue onward. Spider's picking up. Okay, it's been steadily rising here the last week and a half. It's good to see. Overhead supply right in here. But what does this tell us? And this is important. It tells us that there's some strength in the S&P 500. And there has been some strength in the S&P 500. Higher low setup. This low is higher than this low or this low. And it's pushing through, it pushed through the 50-day. What does it say? Hey, you can look into some S&P 500 stocks, but remember this, always folks, focus on leading groups and leading stocks in those groups. That will really help you dramatically and avoid the junk. SSO, the leverage one's picking up a little bit too. That's nice to see with the S&P 500. Solar, do a compare and contrast. Oh, that's looking decent above the 50-day, right? This, oh, there's the Google Home talking. Okay, Google, stop. So here we go. Solar's lagging, nothing to do with it. Small caps, not a lot of power there, folks. Really not a lot of power. Be careful with small caps. Maybe it'll improve. Now let's take it to the nth degree. Oil services, oil stocks. Look at this. Do a compare and contrast. Say, well, that doesn't look too bad. That's okay. That's okay. That doesn't look good at all. See the difference? That's why we do this admission winners, showing people what to look for in the charts. Right here, there's nothing there. And somebody says, well, maybe this is the bounce spot. No, why play the maybe game? Let's look for opportunities that have higher probabilities. This isn't, so what do? Stay away from this and stay away from oil services. Done. There we go. Biotechnology is below the falling 50-day. Leave it alone. I'm not being funny here. I'm just saying, there's no power here. Just wait. I said this at the IBD meetups for years. The air is better above a rising 50-day moving average line. Something to remember, something to commit to. Continue onwards. Home builders picking up a little bit, okay? But no, tail bar here, big reversal bar, lifted here, but not a lot of volume. A lot of overhead supply here. It is improving. I'll just leave it at that in the home building sector. By the way, home builders, very, very much impacted by interest rates. And, you know, interest rate talk is right at the forefront of all the news right now with the Fed, etc. Okay, here we go. Continue onward. Materials improving a little bit. How do you build houses with materials? Look at this. This is improving a little bit. And so is materials. There you go. It tells you, oh, that's double confirmation. Maybe that home building will start improving even more. Is there a clean entry on this at this point in time? Not really, but it is telling us that there's some strength, some improved strength, and that's good to know. There's power in knowing that. Here we go. Communications picking up a little bit. And it's okay, but there's still some overhead supply. Many of these ETFs and industries have overhead supply. Just be aware of that. And I'm not being negative, just pointing out. Energy, it's over the 50-day, but there's not a lot of power here. Look, this fell on heavy volume here. And then up here, rallies up and reverses down. It's above the rising 50-day, but as far as clean spots here, there is none. And that's also true, you know, in the energy services sector. Let's continue onwards. Financials are improving. Look at the compare and contrast. Not much going on there. Oh, that doesn't look too bad. What does this tell us? Hey, maybe looking at some financial stocks. By the way, the markets like good when the financial sector is doing well. They like that, okay? Just want to put a little bug in your ear about that, okay? It's a little bit extended now, but it is improving. Industrial's picking up a little bit. That's nice. Have you noticed, by the way, how many times I've said it's picking up a little bit going through this video? It's not because I have a hang up with that phrase. I'm just pointing out the relevant data in the analysis. Hey, what's going on? Things are improving some. Good. Let's move on. Technology's picking up some, okay? I'd like to see a little bit more power. Here's one concerns I have. Tail bar here, it runs up and falls, runs up and falls, runs up and gaps down. And even here, runs up and reverses down. We'd like to see some more strength here in technology, okay? Is it improving? Yes, that's good. But I'd love to see some more powerful closes. But it is trending up, and so that's nice in technology. We can move on now. Consumer staples, look at that. Isn't that nice picking up? That's good. Now, here's an interesting lesson that most people don't know. Consumer staples, things you have to have, okay? You need toilet paper. I'm not trying to be weird here, but you do. More defensive type of stuff, okay? Not discretionary spending, necessities for the home, okay? Soap, and that's what that's telling, which is kind of more of a defensive type of posture. It's working. We'll watch and see what happens. Just a little lesson for everybody. Continue onwards. Healthcare, it's picking up some. It's a little bit above the 50-day, not a lot of power there, okay? Like to see a little bit more strength. So what does that say? Be careful with healthcare stocks. Consumer discretionary. Now look at this. This is what I wanted to get to. Let's get to it. I can't find it now. My apologies. There's the consumer staples, okay? Things you have to have. We'll just go right back to this. Not discretionary, things you have to have. That's a defensive area. Folks, you got to have toilet paper. I'm not trying to be crude here. I'm just laying out the facts, okay? Necessities. And it's acting okay. It's more of a defensive area. Healthcare still lagging a little bit. There's consumer discretionary. That's what I wanted to get to. Staples is strong. Discretionary is not. My apologies for the delay on that. Metals and mining kind of hanging in, but you've got some red selling bars here. Tells you to be a little careful with metals and mining. Continue onwards. Oil and gas lagging, leave it alone. Nothing to do with it. Retail's picked up some, but there's still not a lot of power. Look at all the overhead supply. It just says, be a little cautious. That's it. Software, it's chopping around. Not a lot of leadership at this point in time. And the MAXLIST. The MAXLIST, big institutional growth stocks. Here's Apple. Gaps up and closes down on heavy volume. All right, and this is a daily chart and a weekly chart. And now it's just chopping around here. Okay, what does it need to do? Well, it's basing here, and I'll draw this for you to help you. Just basing here, we'd like to see it push through here and start to lift and then take out the highs of this bar. Now, that's the daily. This is why we look at weekly also. Look at last week's weekly. That was up on good volume. That's good to see. So we'll watch this and see what happens. That was an improvement there and some improvement here. We need to find a clean entry in a good market. Until that happens, we have the patience and discipline to wait. There's Amazon. Amazon started to go up right here. They took it right back. Okay. In a good market, and I'm going to draw this for you. In good markets, they push through tops. And by the way, there was good volume on that bar, but it did close a little bit below the pivot. In good markets, they push up and they keep going. So the market's fine. Please, I'm not knocking the market, but you'd like to see stocks break out and keep going. Something to look at. So just got to watch this and see. Maybe it's going to base here and take out that line this week. And guess what? We'll be ready. There you go. Continue onwards. Alibaba is picked up, but you look at the weekly, look at all the overhead. Here's a great lesson for you, and this is why I use this template. Weekly on the left and daily on the right. Here's the weekly. You can see lagging. Here's the weekly on Amazon. Oh, look at that trending up. See that? That's nice. Here's the weekly on Baba. Tons of overhead supply, folks, and that's why it's chopping around a little bit up here. Okay? Things that we do emission winners as far as educating on what to look for. Folks, this is a great template. When I do my scans, I always have weekly on the left and daily on the right. I like to frame things up. Things that may not look great on the daily could look great on the weekly, or vice versa. And we combine both together, and then we really stack the deck in our favor. A good weekly chart with a good daily chart, that's money. So just wanted to share that with you. Baidu, look at this. There's Baba, the sister stock, basically Baidu. It's just chopping around here. There's nothing here. Just leave it alone. Tons of overhead supply. And look what it does here. It rallies up and then I take it right back down. There's nothing here. Just leave it alone. Let's continue onwards. Google. Google lifted off here as earnings. It's chopping around right here, okay? What does it need to do? Oh, and there was also a split announcement here too, dividend split. Here we go. It lifted up. It fell here. It's chopping around. It needs to get through here. It fell fairly hard on Friday, and that's when you got to be careful. You can say, well, it closes okay. That's called investing through the rearview mirror. It's like, oh, after the fact. No, always control risk. So it's got decent support right here. I like that. Have a price alert set. We'll be watching this, okay? We may get in this. We may get back in this. We'll watch and see. We'll just have to watch. And this is the beautiful part. We don't have to forecast. Price and volume tells us what to do. There we go. Weekly on the left, daily on the right. By the way, see the price alert? Yeah, we've already got it set. Continue onwards. MasterCard. Kind of ragged here on the weekly. It's ragged here on the daily. Here's a good investing maxim for everybody. The air is better above a rising 50-day moving average line. I know it sounds corny, but it's the truth. This is below the falling 50-day. Be careful with it. Nothing to do with it. Move on. Meta. Below the falling 50-day, it's lifting up a little bit. Okay. Here's the weekly. And that was serious selling volume on that bar, folks. Big gap down on earnings. It's chopping around. There's really no safe entry here. So for now, we just move on to the next one. Microsoft's improving a little bit. Look at do a compare and contrast. Well, that looks, that's below the 50-day. Oh, look, that's at the 50-day. It's a little bit over. Yeah, look at the base right here. I like that. We've got price alerts set. If this can start to lift on volume, it could be a candidate. That's something to watch on Microsoft. If the market's okay, just for what it's worth. Continue onwards. Netflix. Netflix, we're in from down lower, and it's moved nicely, okay? And now, big reversal bar here, locks them in. We'll watch it and see what happens, but it's made a decent move from down here. This is a higher low setup, okay? Right in here. Now we just got to watch it and see how it plays out. I like these tops across here. Perhaps it will take off. Again, I'm going to adjust that alert. There we go. Let's move on. NVIDIA. I like this base. I'm just telling you right up front. I like this. Kind of a cup with a handle formation here. I like how it's forming. It rallied up. There was some distribution in the handle here. Okay. So we've got to be careful with that. But I do think this could be a good candidate pushing through these tops. Now, I need to share something with you. I'm not saying, oh, if it breaks out, it's going to run like crazy. I don't know the future, but I do know from looking at millions of charts through the years, you develop an eye on what kind of patterns normally lead to profits. And this is one of them. Simple flat basis. There you go. Or you can call it a company handle, whatever you want to call it. Just clean tops, folks. Everybody can see. A fourth grader could look at this and say, hey, Mom, that looks like some clean tops across here. Your dad, hey, Dad, look at that. You know, I drew that on with a crayon on your computer monitor. I think this could be a good one. I'm just kidding, okay? Hope that doesn't happen. Anyway, pointing that out to you. It doesn't look bad. Let's move on. NVDL. Here we go, folks. This is a new one. A VIP mentioned this. This is the ETF for NVIDIA, okay? Now, watch this. Look at this pattern right here. Now look at NVDL. It's the same pattern pretty much, folks. It's close. Hold on. And here's what I like about this. I get you there, I promise. There you go. Here's the daily NVIDIA. Here's the NVDL ETF. What do I like? It's dang near the same pattern. Look at it, folks. Look at this section right here. Look at this base right here. Look at the higher low setups. Okay. Above the 50-day, here's NVDL. This is the same thing. Higher low setup, base, above the 50-day. I'm not trying to sell you on the idea, but again, I thank the VIP for pointing this out. Here's the telephone number of that person. No, I'm teasing, I won't do that. But you can see these tops here. This is the power of our team. People come to the table with good stuff. Basing right here needs to take out these tops, and here's what it's going to need. Okay? On all these, everything I've shown you, it's going to need a good market and good volume and good price action pushing through those tops. There you go. You need those constraints met. I say this a lot, and I'll share it with you. Volume tells us other people see what we see, and they're buying. And we like that. Let's continue onwards. Here we go. We're about done. Square or block, whatever. There's nothing there. Do a compare and contrast. Well, that's a decent base. No, that's nothing. It's below the falling 50-day. Leave it alone. You don't have to overthink it. Nothing there. Continue onward. Tesla was great for us last year, okay? And now it's not doing so good. And I'm not slamming Musk and all that. No, we don't. We're just looking at the chart. There's not much there, okay? It tells us at this time to be careful. Maybe it's going to improve this week. I don't know. But right now, you're not going to see this pattern in any chart book saying this is what you look for to buy, okay? Eventually it'll turn and we'll be ready. It's a MAXLIST stock. There you go. And then we do Visa. Shopping around here, big tail bar here. Look at that on the daily. Look at that on the weekly. Loose, wide and loose, indicates high investor emotions. It is improving, but there's not really a clean entry at this point in time, and we go back up the top. Anyway, that is an overview of the MAXLIST stocks. I love those stocks. I will tell you, there's a lot of work in that list.
Thank you for watching the video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please hit like. Maybe hit that subscribe button. We come up with new content nearly every day. Also, check out the videos on the right. YouTube recommends the one on the top, and the bottom one is something we thought you might enjoy. See you next time.